Alright, I'm going to make another video here on the Rustoleum Paint Job on my 77 Chevy C10. And this has been drying. This is very, very dry. It's been probably at least 3 weeks since I put the color coat on it. And I got a couple problems here, and I mentioned this in the other videos. I got some runs in the paint, and hopefully these will show up on camera. There's a couple little runs in this area. Also right in here, and there's another one there. That's the back of the bed. This is actually the front. You can see the bulkhead there. So anyway, I get these little runs and I need to get those out, and I'll show you the process on how I do that. And once you get the runs out of there, there's basically two options to get the shine back in the paint. One, you can recoat, which is what I'm going to do, or you can buff it out. You can get some buffing compound, polishing compound, and a buffer machine, or do it by hand. That'll get the shine back. Now if you sand, basically I'm going to sand this. If you sand too deep and you get down into primer, you have no choice but to recoat it. But I'm not going to buff because it takes a lot of time, and really what happens is you get a real nice shiny spot in one area and the rest kind of just looks like crap. So I'm not a real big fan of buffing. I mean, it looks great, but it's so time consuming and such a pain in the butt that I just don't like to do it. So I'm going to recoat, and the reason is because I've got a few other panels here. I got the dash, the tailgate, a couple of the dash pieces, the ashtray, the glove box door that need a color coat. So I've got to mix up paint anyway, so I might as well fix the little problems on this bed at the same time. So let's get started. Alright, and here's my supplies. Basically you're just going to need something to, I'm going to wet sand this. So basically you're going to need something, a way to get the water on there. A lot of guys use just a bucket of water and a sponge. I prefer to use a spray bottle. It just has water in it. It's an old Carpet Fresh bottle, and I've been using it. You can see it's got a lot of crud on it, a lot of paint. So it just squirts water. So you need that. I'm using 400 grit, and you definitely have to get the waterproof sandpaper or sandpaper that is good for wet sanding, because not all of it is. I'm using a 400 grit, which is actually kind of coarse for this. If I was going to buff it, then I would use 400 and work my way down to like a 1500 grit and then buff it. But since I'm recoating with paint, I'm just going to use the 400 just to knock down those high spots in the runs and then recoat it. And also I got a little flexible little sponge here for the sandpaper. Stick that on there, wrap your sandpaper around it, so you're not using your fingers. If you're using your fingers, you're going back and forth like that, then that spot, that's the only, you're gonna get a real low spot in your paint. So you gotta use something flat so you don't put a lot of pressure in one specific area. So this is what we're gonna use, and let's go get started on the bed. All right, let's get started on this. So I got my little water bottle here, and we're just gonna hose this area. You can't get this too wet. You need to use a lot of water. Then we'll come in and just lightly start sanding on that little high spot. And we're just trying to knock the high spot down. And you can see here on my sandpaper, and maybe I can get some of this. You can see it's kind of red. We are getting a little bit of paint off of there, and that's what we're supposed to do. So it's just a matter of feel, really. If you can get it in the right light and see it and feel it, once that goes away, then you're done. So you just keep working this area until that high spot, that run goes away. And you may want to pick up, you know, I've got the 400, but you may want to go get some 600 or some 800, just so you don't, if you're going to buff it, so you don't sand through to the primer, because then you will, like I said, you will have to respray it after that. So I'll just keep working this and try to get that run to go away. I can see I got a lot of it knocked down once it dries off. If you want, get some paper towels and dry it, and then you'll really be able to see where the high and low spots are. So just keep working this with your sandpaper and your bottle of water, and get that knocked down to make it smooth. All right, and that's really all there is to it. It's hard for me to see through the viewfinder how well that's showing up, but the run is gone, and I don't know if you can see how dull the paint got, but that's where you would buff it out, and the gloss would come back to the paint. I did the same thing over here. The run is gone. It's actually a little thin right in there. I can see some of the dark primer underneath. But like I said, I'm respraying this, so I'm not worried about seeing a little bit of the dark primer underneath. So anyway, that's all there is to it. I'm ready to respray. At this point, you would be ready to buff it out. And so anyway, I hope this helps. And thanks for watching.